Good evening, everyone. Welcome to On the Rise. I'm your host, Mike Feinberg. With me, as always, David Shore. We switched seats. We just figured, maybe we'd mess with you guys just a little bit here. But we're coming from you for a special location here in West Palm Beach, not the Bamboo Room tonight. Came a little farther north. We're over here at the CEO and President's House, Armando Gonzalez. Just enjoyed some pizza. Get ready to do the show a little later tonight than normal, but we're making it happen.
Yeah.
So, hey, guys, obviously, you know what we're going to talk about tonight? Saturday night's event. Hopefully you came out, got to enjoy the event. If not, you got to see it through our app, through Apple TV, through Roku, through Fire Stick, all the means and all the sources that you could have watched it. And hopefully you did enjoy the event. We had 10 great fights on for you that night. We had a sold-out crowd over there at Extreme Action Park in Fort Lauderdale. And look, everybody seemed to love what they saw. We had fantastic fights between stoppages, chokes,
spinning back fist.
Man. You name it, pretty much it happened that night, which is typical.
Right.
We mixed it up, some MMA bouts. We actually switched a couple MMA bouts out to kickboxing bouts. Unbeknownst to us, even before a couple of them started, we had to figure that out as the night kind of went on. But, hey, we enjoyed ourselves. Mm-hmm. I know it was a great event. The fans seemed to really like it.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun for sure. Yeah. LJ Wilson, the Tower of LJ. It's one slam knockout. That was wild.
LJ with the quickest knockout of the night. That was the quickest fight. Kind of felt bad for Dylan Inman not having the opportunity to show us what he was really capable of doing that night. We hope to see him back in the future, and we hope he has a great career as well. I know he's a very skilled fighter, so we want to point that out as well. But it also says a lot about LJ Wilson being able to stop Dylan as quick as he did.
Right, yeah. He was actually, Inman was actually moving pretty good, so I thought he'd do pretty well. But yeah, LJ's just too strong and just, like I said, took him for a ride.
Yep, LJ now 3-0 here with RIZE, and we're looking forward to seeing him maybe on the next card as well. And we'll get to that in just a minute about our next card, because we do have some information for you about that as well. But what I want to do is just kind of run through the winners of the night, and then we'll go back and talk about them individually. But congratulations goes out to Corey Jacobs. He fought in our first fight at lightweight at 155. He beat Chris Butler. In fight 2, we had Ryan Ocasio. He got a first-round submission against Sam Mercado at flyweight, 125. Fight 3, we had bantamweights. Zeus, Matthew Cunningham. He got his unanimous decision against Ariel Perez. In fight 4, we had Jamari McNichols. He came back and impressed us once again, this time with a second-round knockout, or second-round technical knockout, against Jalen Jackson, bantamweights at 135. And that was the spinning back fist you alluded to before. Right. In fight 5, we had our first women on RIZE card. And these two strawweights, Ludi Alves and Nirmari Figueroa, put in a pretty good contest for all of us in attendance. And Ludi Alves did win that split decision victory in the end. In the 6th fight, we had 145-pound featherweights. Christian Esquilin coming from behind and winning that third-round submission over Jeff McPherson. The 7th fight, we had featherweights once again at 145. Giovanni Gomez, he had a majority decision over Vinny Costantino. And we'll talk about that one a little bit, because I know there's a lot to unload on that fight.
Yep.
In the 8th fight, we had lightweights, 155. Ronnie Levine stopped Robert Russell in the first round with a submission. In the 9th fight, we had featherweights at 145. Lucas Rosa, who fought with us for the second time now in his career, he had a unanimous decision over Israel Hernandez. And in the final 10th fight is what you just talked about, LJ Wilson getting that first-round TKO over Dylan Inman. Right. It was just an amazing card with, like we said, just about everything you can come up with, left, right, up, and down.
Exactly, yeah.
So I know we definitely want to touch on each and every fight individually. We'll talk about what you saw, David, within your eyes, talk a little bit more that happened with the event, and talk about future events. But just before we get into all that and unload all that, we do want to take a quick break just for our quick app spot. We'll take a look at that, and we'll be back with you here in about 30 to 40 seconds. We'll see you guys in a minute.
Jason, the audio. Oh! Are excited and ready for the second bout of RIZE.
All right, everyone, welcome back. We hope you enjoy that quick app spot talking about our app. Guys, if you have not downloaded it yet, what are you waiting for? That was the way you could have bought tickets. You could have come out and watched it. That's the way you could have watched the fight on Saturday night. If you didn't see Saturday night's fight, you missed a good one. If you download the app, you could actually rewatch the fight from Saturday. So do it. What are you waiting for? What are they waiting for?
I already watched it once last night. I'm going to watch it again.
So, we do want to take a moment to thank all the fans and all the sponsors and the staff at Extreme Action Park for helping us out that night, setting up and taking it down. Big thanks goes out, of course, to our cage girls, Alexandria and Kiara. And the third member of our commentating team that night was Olive Power. It was very enjoyable to have Olive there with us.
Right.
Great insight, definitely a great addition to our team that night. And so, David, a great event. Tell us your take. What did you see?
Like you said, I had everything. I really enjoyed a lot of those fights. Like Christian Escalene with that last 35 seconds left, the submission. He looked like he was down 2 rounds versus, what was the gentleman that Jeff
McPherson.
McPherson. I believe it was his debut, and this guy had, 5 or 6 takedowns against this Christian who's experienced, and we see him take other people down. So, hats off to him for doing the best he can. But, the experience prevailed with the, to keep an undefeated record with Christian, and
right.
It was super good. A lot of other good fights, like you said, the spinning back fist with the kickboxing match. That kid's improved a lot. The Gomez fight, like you said, we're going to break that down, but I was really impressed with him with his tenacity to keep going, takedowns, and stand-up striking with, was it Matthew, right?
Vinny.
With Vinny,
right.
Correct. Yeah, with Vinny, some good striking, exchanges. Vinny had the quick hands. I really enjoyed that,
Yeah, let's get into that fight. We're talking about that one now. We might as well continue talking about it. So,
right.
I think, differently than maybe what some other people saw in that ring. And I know I mentioned earlier on that it was a majority decision.
Yeah.
So 3 judges in attendance. They all seem to have seen something a little bit different than the other. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you what I saw, because even with that point deduction that Vinny had, and I know you'll talk a little bit about why that happened, David. Yeah. Even with that, Vinny actually was seen as the winner, or at least a draw, by one of the judges' eyes. And people don't understand why. But I'll tell you what I saw, out of all the 20 fighters that were there that night, Vinny actually had the best boxing stance that I saw in that cage.
Right.
He was the one that had his guard up each and every time. He's the
Sure.
one that basically was standing with that great, his legs were spread right. He looks like he's well experienced and he knows how to square it out like that. So his striking ability was there. We really couldn't see exactly how much power he had that night, because with Gio's twists and turns, it was just difficult for Vinny to land cleanly. But amazing that I think that he did that. So it was a takeaway there. That's something that maybe people didn't see
Sure.
in plain view. But, explain why, as far as the point deduction and what you saw and what was going on there.
Just Gomez is just dominant with taking down. The Aztec Warrior, that guy is, like I said during the fight, this guy reminds me of a little Cain Velasquez. And I was impressed the last time he was out, and this time again, and not only the takedowns, but he was hanging in there with a striker of that caliber, so I definitely gave him credit for that. And, as far as holding the cage, you're not supposed to, but, stuff happens, instinctually. When someone's taking you down, it's kind of hard to if you're not trained to fully not grab it all the time, or just instincts kick in, what are you going to do? I can't have an excuse for that, but Vinny put on a show. I was really impressed with his striking. Like, his hands are so fast, it was hard to watch.
Right.
And that gives credit to Gomez to do as good as how he did.
Yeah.
So, it was great.
Yeah, Gomez, he pretty much had all the assets that he needed to have that night, to kind of change it up and do what he did, because early on it looked like Vinny was just going to sit there and just, be able to strike with him and land at will. But Gio found a way, like we said, the twists and turns, the things that he was able to do to kind of turn it into more of a grappling match, a little bit of wrestling with the takedown. Did everything.
Right.
He kind of spread it out, so he was trying to find Vinny's weakness, so to speak. And he did what he had to do to obviously get to that point.
Yeah.
But the power that Gio had, too, was actually surprising, to be able to lift Vinny up the way he did and just overpower him,
Right.
halfway through that match.
That's definitely one of my I would say that and the Escalene fight, I would say they're my fight of the nights for sure.
Yeah, you couldn't say about LJ, right? Because you didn't see more than 5
It was
seconds.
so quick, yeah. Jeez. Yeah, LJ is a talent, and I believe those last 2 fights were decisions, so I'm glad to see that he was able to get a quick finish and put in work. It's his 3rd fight, so it's a lot of time in the cage when you start going to decisions.
Right, exactly, yeah, that's it. So I'm actually going to recap here. So with Corey Jacobs, what did you see to open up the night?
Well, Corey Jacobs, you can tell he had a lot of power, and he's kind of stout for his size, so he's kind of shorter versus his opponent. But you know, he actually had a gas tank. You know, it reminds me of how like Roy Nelson was kind of bigger kind of guy, and yet he still can last 5 rounds. You know, he kind of looked tired, but he was still able to throw the combination. He kept going with a straight and a right hook over and over, and landed over and over, and to a bigger guy. You know, so Jacobs did great.
Yeah, we enjoyed having him back. As I said, you know, he had fought on the RIZE card in January of 2020, so it's been some time since we've seen him. And he did tell me, by the way, at the weigh-ins that he is still in law school. So he made a point of telling me the first thing I heard when I saw him was, hey, I'm still in law school, but I'm almost done. So he's still getting there. But, you know, hopefully soon enough, he'll be the fighting attorney. You know, he'll fight for you.
Right.
That'd be a great commercial spot, right?
I think Florian was a doctor or some kind of physician or something. So, yeah, it's cool to see, like, working professionals doing. A lot of people think that fighters are dummies. Like, it takes a lot to know a lot of things about fighting. People ask me all the time why I don't fight. Like, hey, jiu-jitsu alone is just like plenty of stuff to learn. You know, more or less striking, and you know, it's a never-ending battle, and then training and all that. So, you know, hats off.
So in fight 2, we had Ryan Ocasio, and he fought Sam Mercado.
Right.
What do you remember about that fight?
I remember Ryan's dominant wrestling. That's what we spoke about. You know, he was really good at taking Sam down. You know, I definitely saw that, and Sam had some good striking going on. But it's when you're fighting against elite wrestlers, it's very hard to win. You know, and then once you're already preparing for the takedown, I saw Sam catch him with an uppercut when he was trying to take him down. That's really one of the only strategies to stop someone that has that kind of wrestling. But you know, there's only so much you can take until someone grabs you and you know, manhandles you pretty much.
Right. Yeah, I got you. And then so in fight 3, you know, Matthew Cunningham, who again was supposed to fight on our card back in March, wasn't able to do so.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of things that had happened, I guess. You know, basically on Fight Night that kind of prevented it.
Yeah.
But he was going to be fighting at 155. He was able to fight more in his natural weight at 135. This time at bantamweight, and this time he took on Ariel Perez, who we had on the show. You know, just before fight week. Ariel definitely seemed very, very confident about his abilities to do that. So, you know, tell me what you saw between those guys in that fight.
I mean, Ariel had some awesome quick hands, but Zeus is just powerful, and the takedowns are just relentless. The same kind of situation. It's just if you can't stop someone from picking you up and taking you down, how are you going to end up striking with them? You know, it's nearly impossible. And I honestly really enjoyed his post-win dance and stuff like that. You know, it kind of reminds me of Israel Adesanya, just the showmanship, which a lot of MMA is about showmanship. You know, if you could put on an awesome highlight reel, or if you were just that type of personality that kind of people lead towards, you know, it's the whole package. And I think he's going to go far, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was great to finally see him in action. You know, we've been waiting a few months, obviously, to see that. Nice to see it happen. He was kind of a quiet fighter. I mean, in the weigh-ins, he didn't say much. You know, fight night, I didn't hear much out of him or anything. I didn't see any showmanship really coming before the fight.
I kind of did. He looks, like I said, I said in the during the fights, he looked kind of tapped in the head. Like, you could tell when people were just animals and are just ready to go in the cage and do what they were preparing to do, you know, and you could just see that confidence, and just in his eyes, you could just tell that he felt that he was a dominant fighter before the fight and after the fight. So.
Okay. I mean, I definitely saw it at the end.
Yeah.
You know, that he showed you. I showed you what I could do. I just didn't see him kind of letting us know beforehand what he was capable of doing. But, you know, we got to see it, and now we're happier for it.
Right, definitely.
Moving on to fight 4. So Jamari McNichols, the return of Jamari. We had him before. You know, we didn't know much about him the previous fight that he had with us, and he came out with a pretty big surprise, that first round stoppage.
Right.
This time around, he got a second round stoppage over Jalen Jackson, and you alluded to the spinning back fist. But, you know, talk a little bit about what led up to that point.
Well, I just feel like he's just a more rounded fighter, even though we only saw a very small glimpse of him the fight prior. And you could tell that he was doing all the right moves, just staying off the line, making sure he's not getting hit and hitting, you know, Jalen, I believe he was going against Allen. But, yeah, you could just tell that he's been working and just fine-tuning his skills, and, you know, he showed it off.
Yeah, it was happy to see him back again. Hopefully we see Jamari again, maybe on the next fight card, which we're going to talk about in a little while. And fight 5, you know, the first, the opening of the females here with RIZE. Very happy to see Ludi Alves and Yomiri Figueroa. Figueroa coming with that 4'8" stature. You know, I was very concerned for her, thinking at that size she's trying to kickbox.
Right.
You know, what kind of a reach can she have? How high can she get those legs up? It seemed like Yomiri, you know, held her own pretty well throughout the fight. But it seemed like Ludi was able to control that distance quite well.
Right, that was the key. And realistically, it's hard, especially it's not like it's kickboxing. She can't take her down necessarily, so she has to get in on her, and it's not an easy task if you practice not letting someone get in, getting long, and using your distance and the jabs and the kicks, and she really didn't have an answer too much in my opinion. So right. I was really impressed.
Right, I was too. I was impressed with both of them. And as far as Near Mary, I know that Olive alluded to this during the conversation that maybe it's an opportunity for her to drop down to atom weight and see if what she can do at that weight class. Because she definitely had some power behind it.
Yeah.
When she was able to land, and I think she actually did knock Alves down at one point. Mm-hmm. She definitely had some power. I called her the fiery spark plug, I think, at the end of the fight. She was just at a disadvantage as far as reach was concerned. That was really her only biggest obstacle.
Definitely.
So hopefully we see both those ladies at some point again, hopefully on some RIZE cards. And as we move to fight 6, so this was interesting because during the weigh-in, both Christian Esquilin and Jeff McPherson's opponents failed to make the weigh-ins. So these two guys made a decision at the last minute, we'll fight each other.
Right.
We're both at 145, let's do this. So with less than 24 hours notice between them finding out they're fighting one another, knowing that they're fighting an elite fighter like themselves, they got in the cage, and what do you think about that fight?
Like I said, I was extremely impressed with Jeff's takedown skills. I know at the previous fight, Christian, he took down his opponent a few times and basically had his way. So, yeah, I was like one of my favorite fights because this guy got taken down and he was able to get back up numerous times. And it's not easy. It's not easy getting taken down, getting back to your feet to someone's trying to do the same thing over and over again. In the third round, it's kind of demoralizing when you're trying to fight someone that doesn't want to stand up with you. And, he ended up turning it around the last 35 seconds. You just see the momentum change in the last, 3 minutes, I would say, of the fight. I believe I have to rewatch that one, but I believe he got a takedown, and then he was able to submit him in the last 35 seconds. So,
right.
Yeah, it was I felt like I was watching an epic movie or something.
Right. Yeah, there's no question Esquilin found a way to, overcome. And, it seemed like that first round was pretty close. I know we were talking about the commentator booth, and if I can remember right, our conversation was we thought that first round looked pretty close.
Right.
But we did see that Jeff actually had more takedowns, and you had mentioned with all the takedowns, you had to give him that round.
Right.
Second round clearly was a Jeff round. What was Christian going to do to be able to find a way to make it back? And it was impressive with the leg strength that he had to avoid the takedowns or pull himself back up against the cage from those takedowns. And definitely a very impressive victory. It almost seems like Christian was better off winning this way than outright just winning early. It just showed more of his skills. Right.
Well, that's what amateur's all about, honestly, is that you just got to test yourself, And he went against an elite wrestler, and he pulled off the win. And, he was already 3-0, so it just makes him that much more, knowledgeable in the ring. So it's going to be, to his advantage in his next match.
Right. Right. So moving out to fight 7, we pretty much just broke that one down. That was Gio Gomez and Vinny Costantino. So we talked about the ability of both those fighters and what they were capable of doing, and that point deduction that sort of affected the outcome just a little bit.
Right.
But I still think in the end it probably would have been a split decision win for Gio rather than a majority decision. Either way, it seemed like Gio found a way to win that fight.
You're just saying that because you're scared of Vinny.
That's what it is. That's it.
No, I'm just kidding. But no, I'd like to see both of them come out and compete again because, I enjoyed both of them. They're both really entertaining guys. And, Gio had, I'd say, almost half the attendance, the Aztec Warrior. And I was a little nervous for him at first with the Vinny pre-hype, and, like you said, his stance and his composure. And even the second round, he still had some solid composure, and he was landing. And, Gio overcame, so it just shows both their skills. Like I said, it's one of my favorite fights.
It was nice because they had such a different skill set.
Correct, yeah.
I think that's what made it more of an entertaining fight because it's kind of like anything will happen. So it was interesting to see that, and like you said, hopefully we get to see both these guys in action again in the future. Moving out to fight 8, that was the Ronnie Levine and Robert Russell fight.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about that fight, what you saw.
I saw Rob get a solid leg kick on Ronnie Levine. And then when it went to the ground, just Ronnie Levine just was totally dominant, Like I remember seeing Rob trying to get back up, and he just pushed him with one arm down, pushed his head and kind of just neglected any kind of effort that he was trying to do, and kind of put him in his place and just took the round from there. So, it's very hard, as I keep repeating to myself, a talented wrestler or someone that wrestles every day, with top elite. People like, I think it's Waggy over at their gym. It's it's just you can't compare to that. When you have that kind of talent, you know, you're just like metal or iron sharpens iron. You know, it's you're working with the best, and you're gonna get the best results.
That makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I know with Rob, you know, my thought was, you know, when I first saw it all start, it seemed like he had this really well laid out blueprint and this game plan of exactly what he wanted to do. But he only had like the exact of what he was going to do for only so long, and then it was kind of going to be like, let's kind of wait and see how it goes. And I think if he had just dragged out that game plan a little bit better, or had that blueprint a little bit better, there's a lot more I think that he could have done to try to control it, because he said start out with a bang.
Yeah.
You know, he said he knew what he was going to do.
Right.
It seemed like he just knew exactly what he was going to do the first 2 minutes or so of that fight. And you know, he was pretty dominant early on, and at that point it was kind of a free for all. And you know, unfortunately, he was overcome by Ronnie and his abilities. But it was interesting to see, you know, when you have a well thought out game plan like that, especially with such a short fight.
Yep.
You know, we're talking 9 total minutes.
I know.
In that thing, if you can come up with a blueprint for 9 full minutes, okay, minute 1 I'm doing this, minute 2 I'm doing this, halfway mark I'm going to do this, and you figure out a way to make it happen. If you can stick to that game plan somehow, I mean, that's a great way to go. But it's not always going to work that way.
It's hard enough. Like wrestling for a minute or two is just like, you know, it feels like hours. You know, it's endurance, spine versus spine. You know, so get to that 9-minute mark. For, like I said, for someone that wrestles all the time, or someone that's been training for that. I'm sure Ronnie is ready for a 15-minute fight with training at this team. You know,
Right.
So you know, but it was definitely interesting. I enjoyed it.
But it was great. I mean, to see Ronnie with that first round submission, you know, to be able to do what he was able to do, you know, or later on into that round. So moving on to fight 9, we had featherweights, Lucas Rosa and Israel Hernandez, and you know, I noticed, you know, Lucas was a smaller fighter that night, you know, and it was pretty apparent, you know, watching him in that cage, and early on, that first round, he was tagged up pretty good.
Right.
I mean, his body was really red.
Yeah.
From just getting hit pretty much everywhere. But, you know, he was able to just walk through it.
He's slightly pale though, you know, so you can probably flick him and he'll turn red. He's got that Boston skin. But yeah, no, he was getting tagged up, but you know, the heart of a lion, they say, you know, came back and you know, that's what amateurs about. You go in deep water and you see where it goes. You go against a longer guy, a taller guy. His opponent was keeping his head really high. It's hard enough when you're trying to tag someone's head and they're going to catch you from the, you know, looking the wrong way. So yeah, he was lighting him up though, and he came back in the second and the third and just, you know, dominated. So yeah, it was good, but definitely back and forth. I mean, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was great. It was great to see him overcome that, and you know, he pretty much did something similar the first time we saw him out too. So we've seen a different skill set now with Lucas than we did in the first fight.
Right.
He showed some other things that he has on his artillery that he didn't have the first time out, and it was interesting to see and watch him grow. And I think he's just going to continue to get better from here.
Right, and that's the thing. This guy's a wrestler. He did a kickboxing match, and I think it's the second kickboxing match in about 4 months, and you know, he won that pretty decisively. So, yeah, who knows what, you know, his next MMA fight's going to look like.
Right. It'll be curious to see. And then finally, that main bout, our main event of the evening, didn't go very long, as we said.
Exactly.
LJ Wilson with that first round TKO over Dylan Inman, and you know, we wanted to see a little bit more of that, but you know, hey, we were treated to an early stoppage and an early night.
I know.
We kind of went home early.
Exactly. Yeah, like I said, the tower, LJ Wilson, this guy just dropped him, and that was it. You know, I think he got knocked out from the takedown, in my opinion, and you know, he cleaned it up with the ground and pound, but you know, that's how you go out with a bang for sure.
Right. So with that, you know, we have some news for all the fans out there. We've already booked our next event. All right, guys, we will be returning to Extreme Action Park on July 17th. So same venue, July 17th. You're going to see some of the same familiar faces, some of the same fighters coming back on the card again. Armando Gonzalez is hard at work right now in the background, working on trying to get that card filled up for you. We're hoping to have, you know, maybe as many as 10 fights again on the next card. Same venue, as I said, Extreme Action Park in Fort Lauderdale. If you didn't come out this past Saturday night, try to come out this time around, because it was a great event. Everybody seemed to, you know, enjoy where they were and what they did. And, you know, if you can't attend the event in person, of course, you can watch it through the app, through Roku, Fire Stick, and Apple TV. RIZE FC, guys, just check it out. You know, some people were not able to actually attend the event, unfortunately. As much as they wanted to get in, we were sold out. It was already too late. You got to be able to jump on that app days ahead, if not weeks ahead, to try to buy those tickets, because they are going to go fast. It's limited seating. There's not much we can do about that.
Right.
So make sure you buy those tickets early on so you can enjoy the fights with us.
I had people reaching out to me for tables and stuff pre-fight, you know, so
Yeah.
I was like, I can't do anything for you,
It's like
you know.
too little too late, unfortunately, guys. You know, we would love to have seen everybody. You know, we want to see all the fans in attendance, of course. We want everybody to have an equal share and opportunity to be able to come out and see their favorite fighter here at our events. We'd love to do it. Just make sure you buy those tickets early on. Just buy as many as you have to, and then make sure you have them for your friends. Otherwise, you're going to be watching it alone.
Yep.
Right? All right, so what we're going to do real quick before we wrap up and talk about some other things going on in the world is we're going to break for another commercial. This one's going to be through our sponsor, DV8. So again, another 30-second commercial spot. We're going to break for that. We'll be back with you guys on the flip side. We'll see you soon.
This is Kerry from DV8 Motorsports. I want to welcome you to our world and give you a little insight into what we do. From the lift kits, lowering kits, custom wheels and tires, gas, diesel performance and accessories. We do it all here in-house. All of our services we offer, we install everything. Come follow us on social media, Facebook or Instagram, DV8_motorsports. Take a look at what we do, what we have to offer. We're located at 1018 North Federal Highway in Lake Park, US 1, just south of North Lake Boulevard, or you can give us a call, 561-840-2023, or shoot us an email, dv8motorsports@yahoo.com. Thanks.
All right, guys, and we are back. Hopefully, again, you were able to enjoy the early part of our show. We discussed and reviewed each and every fight that went on this past Saturday night at our great event at Extreme Action Park. Again, to recap, we will be coming back at Extreme Action Park on July 17th. We've already secured the venue and that date. We're going to be putting that fight card together. We'll show you some promos as time continues on. So, David, great event in the books.
Right.
Another great event coming again. What else? What can we tell everybody?
You know, just make sure you tune in for sure.
Right. Any one quick thought maybe about what's going on in UFC before we head out?
Michael Chandler lost, won the first round, got knocked out in the second round. You know, Brazil's reigning again, you know, so congrats to Oliveira, you know, and Tony Ferguson. He didn't win, but, you know, he's still one of my favorite fighters, and that's a quick minute.
That's good. And I'll say same thing with boxing, just really quickly, this Saturday night, if you guys, you know, don't know yet, probably the fight of the year is coming up. You got Josh Taylor and Ramirez are going to be fighting for all the marbles at 140. This is the best fight that can be made in boxing right now, in my opinion. Make sure you tune into that, check that out. If you're not a boxing fan, you can definitely watch this fight, and maybe you'll become one. These are two very talented fighters that bring different skill sets, and they will definitely bring it that night.
I'm saving all my boxing focus to the Jake Paul, or the Logan Paul Mayweather fight.
Because that's the fight you want to watch.
I'm excited for it.
Whatever we can call that.
Yeah.
And I know that we were joking around about this, but you know, I got the opportunity to hang out with Tyson Fury a few days ago. But while I'm hanging out with Tyson Fury, you know who was in the gym with me?
Who?
It was Nick Diaz. But you know that.
Right, yeah, I know.
And apparently the world knows that because some people have been watching little leaked videos about Tyson Fury wrestling around with Nick Diaz. But little did I know it was Nick Diaz that I was having a conversation with for, you know, part of the day. But
you luckily didn't Stockland slap you for not knowing him.
That's right. Hey, when you got a guy like 6'9", like a Tyson Fury in the ring, you really don't pay much attention to what else is going on around you. You know, it's just right there.
Right.
And so we're curious to see how that's going to pan out, because if you haven't heard about this, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, who have signed a 2-fight contract and are supposed to fight in August. Right now, Deontay Wilder is fighting with the WBC about, you know, saying, I'm still the #1 contender right now. You can't give my belt away. Mm-hmm. If you don't fight me first, you can't fight for the WBC. So we may not be having an undisputed heavyweight champion after all if that fight moves forward in August. So there's some politics going on in the background right now. This is all just brand new news that's coming about. But it was great to see Fury in action. It was great to see Nick Diaz with what he was doing with Fury anyway, although I wasn't aware of what was actually going on. And once again, our event, you know, it was great. Yeah. I mean, we couldn't have asked for anything better. Everybody that worked real hard to put it together, you know, we applaud you for everything that you've been able to do, and you have done for us, and you will do for us in the future.
Right. And thanks for Olive coming out, too. I enjoyed her commentating. Yeah,
once again, Olive Power, thank you. You're a valued member of our team, and we enjoyed everything that everybody had done. So for everybody here on The Rise, on behalf of Arno Gonzalez, Gerardo Ramos, my partner David Shore, I'm Mike Feinberg. We'll see you guys again soon. Have a great night. Stay safe.
Bye.